Good morning and welcome to all those present here in the room and those who are following us online for this celebration day for Biennale Musica and for Meredith Monk, who is being awarded today the Golden Lion for a Lifetime Achievement of Biennale Musica 2025. She was at Biennale in our first Italian presence in 1975. It was the Biennale Theatre and Music directed by Luca Ronconi, celebrated for the great artists who took part to that Biennale. Let us start the ceremony. I invite here on stage the director, the artistic director of the music sector, Caterina Barbieri, who will read the motivation for this award. Good morning, everyone. Today I'm very happy to present the Golden Lion for Lifetime Achievement at Biennale Musica 2025 to American composer Meredith Monk in recognition of her groundbreaking contribution to music and the art of performance. Her work is distinguished by the multidisciplinary approach and the pioneering use of extended vocal techniques, which have expanded the potential of the human voice, transforming it into an unprecedented vehicle for musical and theatrical exploration. Her works explore different dimensions, dissolving the borders among the arts and conjugating music, theater, dance, and cinema. Her influence extends from avant-garde music to contemporary classical, from experimental electronic to jazz and pop, inspiring generations of artists. Meredith Monk's music exists in the same space that La Stella Dentro aims to explore, a living universe in continuous metamorphosis which does not allow itself to be harnessed by historical categories and which appears at the same time archaic and radically innovative. Her wordless enchantments and ability to build entire sound worlds from simple gestures gives life to dialogues of surreal intimacy and vastness. At the Biennale Musica 2025, Meredith Monk presented a special program at Teatro Malibran, accompanied by the historical members of a vocal ensemble, Katie Geisinger and Alison Sniffin, as well as the Italian premiere of the three-skin audiovisual installation Songs of Ascension Shrine, which was set up inside the LSD Center in Sala d'Armi E at Arsenale. I would like to leave you with the words of Andrea Lissoni, a friend and director of Hausa der Kunst, who is here with us today for a conversation with Meredith Monk that will follow shortly. Andrea contributed to the catalogue of La Stella Dentro with a beautiful essay dedicated to Meredith Monk, in which he poetically grasped the generative and profoundly interrelated aspect of her work, placing it in connection with the theme of cosmic music that is at the center of this edition of the Biennale Musica. For over 6 decades, Meredith has built an entire universe, starting from what is at greatest risk of remaining invisible, fragile, and neglected, the voice. Not a virtuosity or codified language, but as a raw material, an element in motion, a living organism. Every breath, every utterance, every vibration becomes fertile. It ferments, resurfaces, renews itself. The uniqueness of her voice lies in the fact that it does not represent, but manifests itself. It does not recount an emotion. It lives and generates it. It does not describe a space. It opens it up. It does not imitate life. It engenders it. The voice is at once both gesture and sound. It becomes a body that does not perform, but which materializes, transforming itself into an impermanent landscape, a living architecture that meets the audience, touches it physically and emotionally, and then re-emerges. This is the most radical tool of a art, connection. Meredith composes permeable environments in which the audience is absorbed into the expanded body of the performance. Together with the ensemble, the audience becomes part of a larger organism. It is an experience that touches and remains, that settles, that continues to spread like an infinite ripple effect far beyond the stage. Touched and transformed, one carries with oneself the trace of that encounter, which becomes memory, first individual, then collective, a common heritage. Thank you. We invite on stage Meredith Monk. Before giving her the Golden Lion, there is a surprise for Meredith Monk. I invite on stage a photographer, Lorenzo Cappellini, who described the Biennale Teatro 1975-1976.
Yeah, of course. This is 50 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah. In the cantieri navali, it was pouring rain those days. And then I give you this, that I've done it with the Biennale di Venezia, because all my archive, it is on the Biennale, it is there. And this is the Biennale, we've done it. Come here, I want to see the chef of the Biennale. Come here. And yeah, of course. But I want to see, because this is the book I want to give you, because this is the book that we made in the Biennale of Venice from 64 to 68. And look at you. Yeah? Look at you. Aspetta. Un attimo.
I have to.
Okay.
I'm going to tell the story of this.
Look at. Uffa. Anyway, you will see it. You will see it. Well, I can't find it. I can't find it.
It's okay.
But anyway, there's beautiful photos of you, and I'm so pleased to see you again.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very
Thank you
much.
so much.
It was
Lorenzo.
beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think before I do my speech, I have to tell you a really funny story about this. First of all, Lorenzo Cappellini's photos are probably the most beautiful that have ever been taken of my work, and I cherish them. I still have them and look at them. And as a matter of fact, there's a wonderful film director here, Billy Shebar, that made a documentary about me, and there are and I'm looking through those photos in the movie. So you see, everything connects. Everything connects. But the story that I wanted to tell you was that In 1976, we were doing my opera Quarry, which that photo comes from that. And the year before, in the Cantieri Navali, it had a glass ceiling, and before we did Education of the Girl Child, we came to the theater, and part of the ceiling had fallen down, the glass, and so we had to cancel that evening's performance because glass was on the audience. Then the next year, we came back to perform in Cantieri Navali, Quarry, and the ceiling had not been repaired, so there were holes in the ceiling. So the dress rehearsal, and in Quarry, I'm lying down in the middle of the space as this little child. Antonioni was in the audience for our dress rehearsal, and it's pouring rain. And my technical director said, "We have to stop the rehearsal because you're going to be electrocuted and die." You know, I was seeing like headlines, "Young composer dies at the Biennale." And so we stopped the rehearsal, and then I don't know how they did it, but the next night we did perform, but these beautiful pictures by Lorenzo Capellini are with everybody with their umbrellas in the audience. And I still have, they're so magical, so it's really something. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm deeply honored to receive the Golden Lion Award in this beloved and magical place that I love, Venice, from an organization that has meant so much to me and to the world, the Venice Biennale. When I came here for the first time in 1975 at the invitation of the Biennale, we performed Education of the Girl Child at the Cantieri Navali Geodeca. We were the dark horse. No one knew who we were. But after the first performance, the great Luca Ronconi, who was the artistic director of the Biennale, came backstage with tears in his eyes and asked us to stay and perform in an extra week. That had never happened to me before, and it changed my life. I felt then, and since that time, that Italian audiences understood, felt, and connected deeply with my language of the voice, images, and gestures. Deepest thanks to Pietrangelo Buttafuoco, president of La Biennale, to the board of directors of La Biennale for keeping this enlightened organization going. It's so important in this world. To artistic director Caterina Barbieri, who thought of me, I'm getting a little teary, as a fellow composer and artist. And so important that the curators are also artists, so they really know what it means to make something. And Andrea Lissoni, director of the Haus der Kunst, for the beautiful, beautiful writing and so much encouragement over the years. I'm so grateful to him. And to the radiant members of my vocal ensemble, designers, staff, filmmakers, and everyone that I've had the joy and privilege of working with over the years. You continuously inspire and help me to grow. By your support, creativity, encouragement. Brilliant talent, generosity, and your courage to explore the unknown with me. I would not be standing here today if you were not with me on this journey. Would you please stand, and thank you for everything. You are my family. Please stand. I would also like to thank Manfred Eicher and Guido Gorda and the whole ECM Records team who couldn't be here tonight. Guido was supposed to be here, but his wife got a toothache and he had to go back to Germany. But they believed in me and my music, and their integrity and maintaining their highest standards over the years has been something for me and the world. Manfred and I always shared an aspiration to make music that is timeless and affirms the mystery and wonder of life. Working with ECM over the years has been an amazing journey. And last, I would like to thank my dear, beloved, brilliant, gorgeous niece, Karina Durland, who is like a daughter to me and has come all the way from New York to be with us today. Would you please stand, Karina? I believe in the healing power of music and art, especially in times like these. It is a way that we can communicate heart to heart and transcend barriers of all kinds. I feel blessed to have been able to do something that I love and share it with people all over the world. La più profonda gratitudine to the Venice Biennale for this beautiful and moving award. And thank you for all of you being here today. May music and art live forever, and may it heal this dark, dark world. May it be passed on to the next generation and generations to come. Grazie mille.
Stay here, stay here. Consegna il premio Giorgio.
The award is given by Giorgia Pea, the Councillor for Culture of the Municipality of Venice. We invite her here on stage.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my goodness. I've been kissing all the lions in Venice as I pass them. Thank you.
You have to.
Ah. Ah. Ah.
Grazie a tutti. E
Thank you all, and we invite you to remain here for a conversation that will follow shortly. Conversation between Meredith Monk and Andrea Lissoni. Forgive me. I am moved after all of this. Andrea Lissoni, the director of the Haus der Kunst, München. Thank you, and sorry again.
So, good afternoon. It's wonderful you're all here. I think this is one of the real cases where you can say that the person doesn't need any introduction. So, so there is no introduction required. I think, Meredith, you mentioned your special relationship with Venice. It was beautiful to see the behind the stage, the real behind the stage in Quarry. But you were also here with another work. You were here with Education of the Girl Child. So perhaps it's interesting to complete your journey to the Venice Biennial to hear something about that work from you. Maybe there are some other anecdotes that nobody knows.
What I loved right from the beginning about Venice, the Biennale, how open they were, was that I really did not want to be working on a stage at that time. I was really working for many years on site-specific performances, and there were some places that we went to where they didn't have any different spaces, open spaces. So I came in 1974 to look for a location for Education of the Girl Child. San Lorenzo was a possibility, but because the floor had the checkerboard, it was a little bit too visually complicated. And then we found the Cantiere Navali. And I have to say that Education of the Girl Child, the first night that we performed, it's very much, it's very painterly work with, in some ways it's portraiture, it's still life, and it's landscape within one performance that has that feeling. And the beginning of the piece, the 6 women characters are sitting very still at a table. And all of a sudden, we saw something moving along the floor, and it was scorpions. Now, it turned out that we did have shoes on, which was very good. We wore shoes and boots. But it was so interesting. Then bats flew through during the performance. And, you know, it was so beautiful. You know, everything that happened, because that piece also has a lot of stillness in it. So everything that was the atmosphere of the Cantiere Navali helped the piece. It was just so special. I love that. So I guess I always felt that in relation to so many other places that we were at that time, that the Biennale knew that the artist really needed to find the right home, the right place for the work to live. And that was something that was very important to me. And Education of the Girl Child is a piece with 6 women characters, each one very unique, coming from different ethnic backgrounds, ages, sizes, shapes, races. And it's basically a kind of poem about the strength of women. It's not like a political, you know, like tract. It's more a poem about the affirmation of these strong female heroes. Because, you know, in our culture, you have male heroes like the 7 Samurai or Gangs of Men, but women are usually portrayed sitting around having coffee. So this was really an exploration of the strength of women, but also half of the human race and all the male and female parts of us within each of us as human beings. So it was a nonverbal theater piece, and then the second half was one woman's life going from an old woman to a young woman. So it was almost like putting everything into, you know, the energy into one woman's life. Again, no words. And that's another reason why I think that the Italian audience understood this work, because there was really no text in the piece. It was just images and music. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for describing so accurately the work, because from that description we understand what Caterina said, how your work is relevant and informed by deep knowledge of voice, of course, but also space, choreography, form of dance, architecture, art, and film. So you just brought them all together in few sentences. What we could do today is to take as a starting point, as a centerpiece instead, one work, which is Song of Ascension Shrine. And the reason is the work is here. and is shown as part of the biennial. And there is this new beautiful space called LSD space that Caterina decided to dedicate to special works. So maybe we start from this and we take it as an opportunity to spiral within your work. So it's a work for 3 screens, 3 projection, and the date is 23. It's been shot in a very special place in 2008 and had an evolution, in fact. It was shot for the opening for that place, became a performance, and then became the video work we can see here now, many years after, 17 years after. So maybe you can tell us something about this behind the work.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Peter Scioli and Ellen Fisher for coming early to just make sure that the installation was going to be, that was going to come to life in the way that I conceived it. But Songs of Ascension, well, I had just finished working on a string quartet with a Kronos quartet, and I felt like the next step was going to be a piece with quartet and human voice. And I was thinking a lot about worship in different cultures, like why worship in space or devotion in space, how different cultures have, for example, in the Tibetan Buddhist culture, it's walking around, it's circumambulating a space. In the Christian tradition, it's going up. You know, the Judeo-Christian tradition, it's going up. The Native American tradition in America, it's going down into the earth. So I was just thinking about devotion in space and what that would be. And then my friend Norman Fisher, who's a wonderful poet, but also was the abbot of the Zen mountain, San Francisco Zen Center for many years, was saying that he was working on he was reading the poems of Paul Celan, who is, I think you probably all know, was this great poet from a World War II survivor. And Paul Celan was writing about songs of ascent. And what they were songs that were sung in the ancient days where the community would walk up to the temple, which was at the top of the mountain, singing, walking step by step. Each step was a psalm, and then they go the next step. And I was thinking, wow, what would that be like, you know, to be walking and you're singing, and so then I started working on music. And then by chance, Ann Hamilton, my dear friend, the wonderful, wonderful visual artist, said, oh, I've been working on this tower for 17 years, and would you come and open the tower by a performance? So I brought a few members of my ensemble, and we didn't use the music from Songs of Ascension yet, but just performed in the tower to see what is it like to be singing and walking upstairs at the same time. I mean, it's an incredible thing if you see the installation. Her tower is magnificent, and the fact that Caterina chose to show this installation is so amazing because the whole show is about architecture. So you really see architecture in space, music in space. And so we tried the acoustics and what it was like to sing there, and then I continued to work, and then we premiered the piece in her tower. So that's how it happened.
And this was also shot and was filmed.
Yes, and then we filmed it. Diana Taylor, magnificent filmmaker, filmed it, and then we recorded it with microphone. See, the tower is 8 stories high, and it's very, very small. Like you could almost feel like you reach the audience across the tower. It's a double helix staircase, so you can walk. That meets at the top. So you're very close to the audience, but you're not on the same line that the audience is because it's double helix. So Diana shot it, and also the top of it is open. So she shot from overhead sometimes, and we did 2 performances without an audience for this film. And we recorded from bottom to top these stories, the layers of the tower. So in the installation, what I'm trying to do is make it that you feel that you're inside the tower, because the sound goes all around and also goes vertically. There's speakers in the bottom and speakers in the top. So you feel like you are immersed in the music and the movement and in the tower. And the beauty of that tower is really, really, really stunning. So that's what I was trying to create here.
And this is, the way to describe this, wonderful. More can be added. The tower is an artwork, is an 8-story artwork, has a special connection, or could be having a beautiful connection to Venice, because on the bottom there is water. And the water is a major element, of course, in Venice, but also in the film. The way it's shot, I think it's very especially clear in the installation. It's like the camera zooms out, moves laterally, goes up and down, it's above, it's below, fades back, plunges, and gets very close. So when I think about the movement of the camera, somehow I think about how your voice works, no? Yeah. All this camera movement are the movement that the voice that you have been working for so long do in space, no? So that's the reason why this work is so incredibly pertinent, no?
And then I think I want to go on to just say one more thing is about the idea of a shrine, which is something I've been working on for many, many years, since even the 1970s, of this idea of a shrine as a place of memory, a shrine as a place to be able to be quiet, to really quiet down, a shrine where there might be objects that are very meaningful. It has many, it has many different aspects. So it's a series that I've been working on for many years. And so this piece is a shrine. I think of the whole room as a shrine. And what it means is that you can, especially I'm thinking, maybe not so much Venice, which is pretty quiet, but New York, for example, you could walk in there and rest your mind, and really rest your mind, and let the music just wash over you so that you could come back out refreshed. I mean, I feel like our art now is so important to be as a kind of antidote to the speed, the poison, the aggression, the closedness of this world, that I feel like art, we just need to really be brave right now and know that the love that comes from art, that we put into our art, is something that we must maintain with all our strength as something to really resist what's going on in the world. You notice I have my fist up?
That's very profound and very, very touching. In like, I hope you all will have the opportunity to see this wonderful work, and also to connect with this form that Meredith, you gave shape. When you started making your shrines, there was no word for installation. It will come later. So the specific relation you have with the stage, the way you conceive the stage, the way the stage becomes something else, is responding, echoing in the shrines you've been doing consistently throughout your practice. And everything somehow connected, as you say, but it's also important to go back to this specific work, also because it was a performance, a processional, let's say, perhaps music piece when the tower opened, but then it didn't become an installation. It took a long time. It took 17 more years.
Yeah, it took, I think, 13 to 17 more years, but a lot of that was money, trying to raise money to be able to put it together. And also it took me a while some pieces, for example, my first really big installation work that was inspired by a piece was called Silver Lake and Dolmen Music, which came from a piece called Recent Ruins. And that came very easily, like how would I manifest elements of a piece in an installation so that people could experience it over time? Because, you know, live performance, it comes and it goes. That's the beauty of it, but it's also kind of the sadness of it. So the Silver Lake with Dolmen music is it's like a silver, actually, quite literal silver surface on the floor with the stones all around it. And we used to sing that piece in a circle. And so the audience can sit in those chairs as if you were singing it yourself and experience the piece musically. So, and again, it was I remember the Whitney showed it in the 1980s, and I was coming in from New York, and I go into this room, and it is so quiet. And even the people that were waiting to sit on the 6 chairs were just quietly sitting on the floor along the wall. And then you just went back out on the street, and you just felt that you were renewed, your energy. So that's what I've been trying to do. Yeah.
And without knowing any special layer that you're sharing so generously, what also touches the viewer, the listener of the work, is the sense of unity, the very unique sense of interdependency that the performer have. And this is also a very, I imagine, special metaphor for the way you work with your team and be your vocal ensemble, be a filmmaker, be a photographer. This is unique, and that really appears in that work. So perhaps the question is, the public in Venice, but also the public in Europe in the last weeks, had the opportunity of seeing you performing with your vocal ensemble, and the components are here with us. How do you compose a concert? I mean, how do you choose the piece to compose a concert? What is the magic behind that?
Well, I like to make a good meal in a concert. There's an appetizer, main courses, dessert, and also what I love performing with Katie Geisinger and Alison Sniff in this concert, because each person is so unique, and their voices are so unique and magical. And so what I do love about this concert is each person has a solo, so you really, really get the essence of each person. I need to say that I feel like it's very unusual that a group of people stay together for so long and have put up with me all these years. I mean, that doesn't happen like that in this world. And I think that that's what makes the depth of the work, because I realized at a certain point, I think it was when I did Atlas first, but then as time has gone by, that the visual images and all my ideas and the concepts and, the sets and the costumes and the this and the that, they're only the armature. The real piece is the people. The piece itself, the content, is actually watching how people behave. With cellular songs, first there were some questions from the group. I mean, I work alone for many, many years before I come into rehearsal. Then we work together very intimately. Then I'll usually go back and work alone again. And I work with Allison making scores for the pieces. And then we work together again. It's a kind of solitude that I have to have at the beginning, and then community. But I think there was some question about, with cellular songs, about the abstractness of it, how abstract it was. Like, who were we? Were we the cells? Are we people? And I realized that the music that we were performing had all those elements in it, but basically what the piece was about is how we behave to each other as a prototype of the possibility of human behavior. That we have worked together so long, we can tell if somebody's having trouble. We just pull. We're just so in touch and in tune with each other, and so sensitive to each other, and everyone's so generous in this group. And we also have a good time. We have a lot of fun, and there's a lot of laughter, which humor is really important to me. I've always loved it. So it's just a unique situation. And then I think people really get like the souls of each of these people through the music. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it's very special. It's very special because we understood that it's a process of holding, giving, getting back, sharing again, conceiving all together and then sharing with the public. So it's a very long process and very specific and very unique.
I'm a slow one. I take a long time making pieces, and it's a spiritual discipline. You know, I think that art is a spiritual discipline.
And what happens when you work with someone like Anne Hamilton, like an artist?
We fought like crazy, but we love each other. It was like these two little, like, you know, like two little goats hitting horns. Cling, cling, cling. But I think what that was about was that both of us are used to being in charge of all the elements. You know, I'm in charge of the sound, the image, the d-d-d-d, and she's in charge of her sound, her image, and d-d-d-d. And so we had to figure out who was doing what. And then the other thing that was really interesting was that we had to figure out our vocabulary, which was different. When she would talk about structure, she meant, that would be the word I would use the word gestalt for what she meant by structure, which was a visual structure, but I'm a time artist. So I'm a musician, so structure is time. And so we'd be like going like, and then we're like, oh, that's what you mean. You know, it was finding our vocabulary. And she's one of my, you know, I think fighting over things is also part of the process. It was no problem. You know, it's like, I love her to death. We just adore each other, you know, and so you go through that process to make something beautiful. And I think a good collaboration comes from letting go. You know, it's like knowing you have to make a new baby. So you have to let go of your territory to make something new happen. You know, that's what a good collaboration is. Otherwise, you're just doing your same thing. You know, you have to risk letting go of who you think you are and, you know, give it to the work that's going to happen.
Wow. And it's wonderful.
Can I just tell you a really funny story, though?
Please.
In the middle of one of our fights, Anne goes, "Can I give you a foot massage?" And I went, "No." She was trying to bribe me.
And if one looks at your work, and particularly your opera, so to say, you move throughout time from war to trauma to mourning, and then you move to nature, and then you always went to different subject matter, really relevant in the time, interdependency more recently. And one could imagine all different works and operas you conceived. What is there something you're working on? You're looking forward? You're already preparing?
I'm afraid to say
focusing?
this. Yeah, I'm 82 years old, right? So I'm thinking about death a lot, and but I'm thinking about rebirth. I'm thinking about the phoenix of I'm thinking about how our times are so dark. How do I make a piece that we acknowledge the darkness, but we come through the fire for the future? And you know, and so I'm thinking, that's what I'm thinking about. Wow. How do I do this? I have no idea, but that's what I'm thinking about.
That's something we're very looking forward then, because it's something we can already feel in the shrine with us here, Song of Ascension, but we're very, very looking forward. I guess the spiral movement, this DNA movement in the Tower of Anne Hamilton, is also a movement that has to do with your work. You can see it on scene sometimes. Yeah. And there is a beautiful work, it's a neon work made by an artist you're very close to, which is iconic, and what's titled is "The True Artist Helps the World by Revealing Mystic Truths." And it's Bruce Nauman from 1967. And I think there is no better artist than Meredith that embodies this beautiful sentence in form of a spiral by Bruce Nauman.
Oh, it's beautiful. Thank you so much. That's very beautiful. I hope you tell that to Bruce. That we
I hope so
about.
too.
Bruce and I have been friends from, you know, I don't see him very often, but I met him many years ago. But over the years, one of our great connections was that we were both horseback riders. So I remember that when they did a retrospective at the Walker Arts Center, they asked me to come to do a artistic talk with him, and we just talked about horseback riding the whole time. He's a Western rider, I'm an English rider. So that has been a really deep link, the horses, but also just, you know, in the visual arts, if you're a person that does different modes, like you're a painter, but you're a sculptor, but you also you do drawings and video, that's part of, you know, or Leonardo da Vinci, you know, that's part of being a visual artist. But in performing arts, people think that you can't do all those different things. All those different things to me are one thing. And I have to work twice and 3 times and 4 times harder that each of the elements are cared for equally, you know, that I have to keep my voice together, my body together, my visual elements together. But I consider it one thing. So the fact that Bruce exists in the world, I can sometimes when someone goes, well, what do? I can explain, well, there's this artist, you know, Bruce Nauman, he also does dance pieces and sound pieces. And, you know, so that's not something, you know, I have someone that I can use as an example to help explain what I do.
Wonderful. Very, very, very touching and beautiful. I think we could keep going for hours, but maybe it's the moment to fade and to honor the very, very deserved Golden Lion of Meredith, and thank you for your generosity.
Thank you so much.
Endless generosity.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.